Have you ever wondered why tonal music sounds the same? There's a certain pattern to the chord progressions the music is using. And have you ever wondered the music written by the first Viennese composers such as Beethoven, Mozart, and Haydn has a certain sounds to it? That's because the music they have written uses certain pattern of harmonic progressions. In this video today, I will introduce you a mnemonic device, which is a sequence of numbers 36251 to help you to remember the acceptable diatonic harmonic progressions. In this video, we will focus on the major key version, and then after that, we will build a map of the acceptable harmonic progressions. And then to add to the initial diagram or the map, we will add some exceptions to the chord progressions. And then after that, we will talk about the functions of the chords. And then after that, I will show you some examples of some of the acceptable diatonic harmonic progressions. All right, here we go. Right, first thing first is the mnemonic device, which is 36251. You may have noticed that 36251 is a circle of fifth sequence. If we solfege these numbers, this would be mi, la, re, so, do, right? And then we will translate these numbers into Roman numerals. 1 would be a major 1 because we're in a major key. Major 1 because this is a major triad. For example, in the key of C, this would be C, E, G, C major triad. Right, if you go backwards, it will be 5. The 5 chord is also a major triad. Right, in the case of C major, this would be G, B, and D, which is a G major triad. And then another fifth up, you get the 2 chord, which is a minor 2, right, because it's a minor triad. And let's go up again, you get a 6. Another fifth up, you get a minor 3. Now we are still missing 2 chords, right, out of the diatonic chords. So a fifth up from 3 would be 7. The 7 chord is a diminished triad. In the case of C major, this is B, D, and F, which consists of 2 minor thirds. And then another fifth up from 7 would be a 4 chord. The 4 chord is a major triad, so it's a major 4. Let's talk about some of the acceptable harmonic progressions based on what we have here. We will group some of the chords together, right? Now we will talk about the 1 chord first, which is the most important chord in tonal music. So the 1 chord is used to end a section of a music, a phrase, a string quartet, a symphony, and so forth. The music almost always goes back to the 1 chord, which is what defines what the key is, right? That's why this is so important. And the 1 chord can progress to any of these chords right here. All right, let's go backwards. We'll group 5 and 7 under the same group, right? 5 and 7 chords, both of these chords, they can progress to the 1 chord. So now you have a very simple chord progression, right? 1 to 5, back to 1, 1 to 7, back to 1. I have a remark to make. The 7 chord is a diminished triad. So usually when we use a diminished triad, we use it in the first inversion to avoid the tritone from the bass to one of the upper voices. I'm just going to visualize it a little bit. 1 chord would be, let's see, we're in the key of C major. This is the 1 chord. Lead sheet symbol would be C major triad, and then the 5 chord would be so T, Re, and the 7 would be T, Re, Fa. This is 5, this is 7. To avoid this tritone, we will use the first inversion of the diminished 7 chord. So it would be this. Re, fa, ti. This would be 7 diminished 6. B, leash symbol, B diminished D, B diminished over D, and then this is a G major triad. All right, so 1 to 5 to 1 would be do, mi, so, so, ti, re, do, mi, so. You've heard that many times. Or do, mi, so, re, fa, ti, do, mi, so, do. Alright, so I'll group this together. Well, let's go backwards. One chord backwards. You get the 2 and the 4 chord. I mentioned that the 1 chord is used very commonly to end a section of music, the end of a phrase, the end of a symphony. And the 5 chord is probably the other, well, I would say the second most commonly used chord in tonal music. And then the other very popular chord would be the 2 chord or the 4 chord. So the 2 and the 4 chords that can progress to either the 5 or the 7 chord. Right now you have a longer harmonic progressions or chord progressions, right? So the 2 chord would be re, fa, la. The 4 chord would be fa, la, do. This is 2. This is 4. We'll group this together. This is F major triad. This is D minor triad, right? I'm going to build a chord progression based on just these 3 groups of chords. 1 to 2 to 5 to 1. Right? 1 to 5 1 is a very commonly used chord progression. Do, mi, so, re, fa, la, so, ti, re, do, mi, so. Right? What about 1 4 5 1? Do, mi, so, fa, la, do, so, ti, re, do, mi, so. What about 1 2 7 1? Do, mi, so, re, fa, la, re, fa, ti, do, mi, so, do. Alright, let's go backward 1 chord. 6 chord. 6 chord can progress to 2 or 4. Let's back up 1 more with a 3 chord. Alright, now 3 6 2 5 1 is embodied here, right? Plus the 4 and the 7 chords. Now we can build a much longer chord progression from 1 all the way to 3 6 2 5 1. So to visualize the chords, the 6th chord would be, in the key of C major, is A, C, E. It's an A minor triad. The 3 chord would be E, G, B. E, G, B. So this would be the 3 chord, which is an E minor triad. Right, we will go from here, from 1 to 3 to 6 to 2 to 5 to 1. Do, mi, so, ti, la, do, mi, re, fa, la, so, ti, re, do, mi, so. Alright, pretty cool. Now we have done talking about the first point, and then there are some exceptions to what we already have here. I'm going to add these exceptions in. And these exceptions are the 5 to 6, 5 to 6, which is a deceptive progression. If it's placed towards the end of a phrase, it's a deceptive cadence, right? 5 to 6. And 3 to 4 is another exception. 4 to 1. 4 to 1 is a plagal progression. If it's placed towards the end of a phrase, it's a plagal cadence. And there's one more within the same group, which is 4 to 2. Okay, now we have more options. We could go from 1 to 4 to 2 to 5 to 1. So I'm going to sing it. Do, mi, so, fa, la, do, fa, la, re. So, ti, re, do, mi, so. I'm going to build in a deceptive cadence to this harmonic progression. Let's say 1, 2, 5, 6. Do, mi, so, re, fa, la, so, ti, re, la, do, mi. Right, there you go, a deceptive cadence. Right, what about this? 1, 3, 4, 2, 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 2, 5, 6. Do, mi, so, ti, fa, la, do, re, fa, la, so, ti, re, do, mi, so. So these are all of the exceptions that I wanted to talk about, and this is a complete map of acceptable diatonic harmonic progressions. Let's talk about the functions of the chords. The one chord here is of tonic function, tonic, and 5 and the 7 chord falls under the dominant function, and the 2 and the 4, they are of subdominant function. So when the chord progression is 1, 5, 1, so the functional cycle is tonic, dominant, back to tonic. If it's 1, 2, 5, 1, then it's tonic, subdominant, dominant, back to tonic. Behind all of these harmonic progressions, there's always this functional cycle that works behind the scene. Subdominant chord or predominant chords, they prepare the dominant chords, and then the dominant chords prepare for the one chord, the arrival of the one chord. So that's how this works in these harmonic progressions. And then the functions of the 3 and the 6 chords are a little ambiguous. It depends on where they are in the context. For example, from 1 to 3, if the 3 chord is placed right after the 1 chord, then it has more of a tonic function. And also 5 to 6, a deceptive progression. If the 6 chord is followed by the 5 chord, it makes you think of the 6 chord as a substitute to the 1 chord. So in that case, the 6 chord functions more like a tonic chord. Well, I should say a chord of tonic function. Well, I've shown you some examples already when I was talking about this. So that concludes this video. Well, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I've created a list of music analysis video on my YouTube channel. Be sure to check it out if you are interested. Thank you so much for watching the video.